Hello, tech friends, and thank you for tuning in to Emerging Technologies in Business, where we take a deep dive into different technologies that are impacting businesses today and in the very near future. I'm your host, Brock Riney, and this podcast is brought to you by Kincannon XR. Let's talk tech. Hello, tech friends. Welcome back for another episode. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Daniel Andeev. He's CPO and co-founder of Psytech VR, whose mission is to ensure mental health through the introduction of innovative VR technologies in the process of treating fears and phobias. So, Daniel, thank you so much for being here today. How's everything going in your world, good sir?
Hi, and thank you for inviting me for this great podcast. And so I'm doing great. Today I was visiting two medical centers. I'm currently staying in Yerevan in Armenia and doing great. The weather is great. All the people are great. And so I love Armenia, to be honest.
Fantastic. So,
Okay.
Daniel, do me a favor, give the audience a quick little overview of how Psytech is leveraging VR to help people overcome their phobias today.
Sure. Let's start from the beginning. So there's a statistic from World Health Organization that 500 million of people have at least one phobia, and those phobias can be like phobia of aerophobia, of flying, or acrophobia of heights. And there are phobias that doesn't allow people to live life to its full potential. Like you can go skiing, you can go surfing, dating, or even having a dog. And there is a method, it's called mental imagery, and it's used by almost 99% of all the psychologists. It's CBT approach, and it was created in the end of the 19th century, and it can be explained in the following. So you, as the psychologist, can ask me to close my eyes and visualize the object of fear, the real life situation, and let's be honest, there are some problems when people will have problems with imagination. So, for example, it will be really difficult to imagine, like, if the skyscraper is falling or if the blood is all around us in the flat, for example. Moreover, some people can feel such immersion while just sitting in the cabinet with the closed eyes and trying to imagine something difficult. The third point is that that the doctor, the psychologist, won't have a control of your imagination. And one more thing, that lots of people are ashamed to speak about their fears. And here why we decided to create Psytech VR. So, long story short, Psytech is a virtual environment to help people overcome fears and phobias. And it can be done individually, like a self-guiding training, and also with a doctor using our VR telemedicine system. And this VR as a service system can be explained in 3 parts. So the first part is our LMS system. You're just coming there, you register for the courses, it's like a digital assets. You learn how to overcome fear, you learn how to speak with us on the same language, and you just learn there. So then comes the most immersive part, the Psytech VR app. It's the application with fears, phobias, mindfulness meditations, art therapy, and all the stuff that immerses you right to the training. After each training, you're asked about the fear assessment, like, what's your fear? What's your current fear? And when you put it, this data is synced with our statistics platform, with the dashboard, and you can always have a look at your statistics of training, see the improvements. Yep, and these are the 3 main parts.
Okay, fantastic. So, I mean, I'll say this. So, I'm not really scared of heights, really, in any sense. I've gone skydiving, I've been bungee jumping, but I'll also tell you this. So if I'm on one of those glass bridges that you walk across, you better believe I'm holding on to the sides, right? So I guess my question really is, like, is there a difference between a healthy fear of something and a phobia?
Sure. Fear and phobia, 2 different words, but similar meanings. Yep. Let's speak about the fear. So fear is I'm not an expert in this field, but as a CPO, I will help you. So the fear is like a basic emotion, while a phobia, it's like a type of neurosis. And let's have a look at, for example, two people. The first guy, like he's having a fear of, for example, height, and every time that he's flying a plane, he's just trying to sit right to the center of the plane. And for example, if he needs to go to the skyscraper, he's not going there, and we can give an explanation like it's this fear is associated with the risk to life. Yep, and in case if this anxiety disappears, the fear will stop. While a phobia is a real difficult thing. It's like more of the so if a person feels this phobia, anxiety, so he will live with this thing. And for example, if he need to go to the skyscraper, he will go only to the second floor, and any thought about this source of phobia will feel him stress without experiencing this anxiety. So there is a small difference between these two terms, but fear, it's like a basic emotion, yep, and phobia is like a type of neurosis.
Perfect, that makes sense. And I know you're not an expert in the field, but I think you really explained that really well. I think you explained it really well, honestly. So I know I was doing a little bit of research about your company and your website, and I noticed that yourself, just like me, I am not a fan of spiders. Mine personally came from a childhood experience. I was watching the movie Arachnophobia with my dad when I was sick one day at school, and decided to go out back and go play, right? And open the door, and there's this huge brown spider just sitting on the back of it. And ever since then, I have had a huge phobia of them since then. But I guess my question to you is, what type of techniques are you utilizing to help people overcome those phobias? And then really secondary question is, how is hand tracking in VR being utilized to do that as well?
Okay, so let's come from the theory. Yeah. So, for example, if you want to survive when you face your fear or phobia, there are some methods. So first of all, you need to breathe. It's like a breathing relaxation. You take like 1, 2, 3. You need to breathe. It's simple. Yep. So another thing that you can use your muscle relaxation. You can push your muscles, then make it relax, and it also works. So another thing is like the mental imagery, but it's not like in the moment when you're facing your fear. Just when you're sitting relaxed and you're flat, for example, you can use your mental imagery to try to get off the fear. But and another thing is VR. But let me help you. Let me tell you a story of my fear, of my arachnophobia, fear of spiders. And also when I was young and still young, when I was traveling with my parents to Spain, to Tenerife, I also saw a spider. And this fear through the 20 years was still with me until like maybe May or June this year. So every year we were helping our granny with the garden, with the backyard, so on. And I always saw like crawling spiders everywhere, like in the house, in the garden, etc. And when we started doing PsytechVR VR 1.5 years ago, one of the scenarios of the phobias were like arachnophobia, and as a product director, I was working with our psychologist team, developers team, designers team, and I was testing our app, looking at them. I was really scared, and that was horrible, really. But every time I was like facing those spiders again and again, I feel like more comfortable, and then I saw that all the symptoms of fear, like the shivers, like the heart rate, they started disappearing. And then happened one funny story. So, like in June, I was helping my granny again in the garden. I was driving the car to her countryside, and when I was going away, I saw that a small spider climbed right to the car, and I was driving a car and stopped at the traffic lights, and I saw that a small spider is coming from the roof right on me, and that was horrible. But I remember some cases that I faced those spiders. Also, I started breathing, and yep, that helped me. That really helped me, and I've taken him right to the hand and throw away from the window. Like everyone was looking. Everyone was watching me. Was looking at me like, what's happening in this car? But really, that was the real life therapy situation after VR and after digital methods, and I really feel comfortable afterwards.
I think that's great, though, because it is a progression. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. And I did go to your website, and I've seen that your beta test application is actually up and running now for the Oculus 2. And I did go through a few of the scenarios that are utilized to overcome the fears of, flying, the dark, spiders like we were talking about, or heights. But one of my questions to you is, are they all self-paced courses, or is there ability to actually connect with a doctor themselves for a more guided session?
Yeah, great question. And sure. So the first thing is you can go self-guiding. Like I said, I have already mentioned, you can learn, you can work in VR and then see your results. But sometimes people understand that they need a support from a professional therapist, psychologist, or whatever. And that's why we created VR telemedicine. And it also one of the solutions to the problem that the psychologists can't see what's happening in front of, not in front of, but in the imagination of the person. And we create the VR telemedicine to help the psychologist see what's happening in front of the eyes of his patient. Moreover, now we are working with the biosensors. It will come in the future update, we believe in October. And these biosensors will online stream the health indicators of the patient, like the pulse, HRV, it's like oxygen in the blood, and the specialist will have an ability to see this real life statistics and also to see what's happening in the interface of his patient, and he will have an ability to understand whether it's true that this person has a fear or not. So it's like a statistics-driven method based on the biofeedback.
That's pretty brilliant. So it gives the end person that's helping the patient be able to see if this is truly the issue or not based on heart rate or anything else that's going on. I think that's great. And I think one of the biggest things that really caught my eye when I was looking at your website was how affordable the options are. So $49.95 a month, and that's if they go by the month to month, not including what the yearly cost is there if you decide to go that way, which is obviously typically cheaper. But $49.95 a month, in a lot of people's cases, that's going to be the same or a little bit less than what they're paying them for just a single hour of therapy for a month. And then they can do it inside the comfort of their own home, which not everybody wants to go to a therapist. And you touched on this slightly earlier, but how many total people do you think have a phobia severe enough to take advantage of a system like this?
Okay, So if we are getting to the statistics, so for example, the acrophobia patients, like the people that have fear of height, that are 10% of the world population. If we take the claustrophobes, the people with spiders like us, but in the past life, like it's 12%, yeah. But there are fears and phobias that really progressed after the COVID. So if we take the glossophobia, the phobia of public speaking, the up-to-date statistics is that 75% of the world has glossophobia after COVID. Like 3 or 4 people has fear of it, and it's real true. While we were sitting in our houses, like at home, while the social distancing, we were just like one on one with our computer, just coding, putting some work in the Word, etc. We were in lack of the real life speaking and communication. That's true that after the COVID, the glossophobia took this big part of the fears of the world. And the social phobia and those phobias are really, it's a big topic in the society. And with our update from the last week, we've put the glossophobia, and it's really great in VR. So we create some scenarios for people to overcome it. So for example, the first scenario is when you're just sitting with your friends and chatting in a small izakaya bar, and you're getting like with the questions, and you need to answer them in 30 seconds, in 1 minute or 3 minutes, and our system is it's hearing you, and our AI system tracks your score, like how loud you are, how much you're speaking, etc. And when the timer is over and the question is answered, like our audience is giving you the assessment, like wow, great, or who, something like this. And yeah, really, and I think that I haven't mentioned that every phobia we're making like with the special method that's called the ladder of fear, and we are bringing a phobic person from the easiest level to the most, I can't say that it's like most dangerous, but most maybe challenging. The second
accepted level, at that point.
Like the second level will be like when you are speaking to your colleagues in the office, and the last is when you're speaking to 50 plus people and they are reacting. If they are bored, they're taking the mobile phones and trying to do something with them, interrupting you. So we are bringing every phobia with those levels from the easiest to the most challenging.
That's brilliant, too, because it's not making someone jump in the deep end of the pool. It's allowing them to dip their toe in first and slowly get you into the water.
Yeah.
I mean, the other cool thing that I saw from your website is that if someone ends up signing up and they put their deposit down, that you guys will actually provide an Oculus VR headset. So that as soon as the patient puts down their deposit, and for me, simple math says that's a really, really good deal. If someone signs up for 1 year at your rate of $495, you get a free Quest 2 along with the deposit. And to me, that's got to equate to less than what the stereotypical person might spend in half a year just on the monthly reoccurring psychiatrist visits. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. And to be true, we've been speaking with people and we found that there is a motivation for self-guided training. So first of all, if you need to go to the doctor, you need to pass through the PCR test to wait for the time for the result. You need to wait an extra time for a certain specialist, like if you need to go to one of the famous one or the expert, you need the time to wait in his calendar. And you also need to spend extra money for extra sessions. Extra session, and it's the one part of this thing. And another part that we found that in our society, in this decade or something like this, there is a consumer's behavior, and people use at home lots of mediative apps like you can work as you can use the mindfulness at home with only the app on your phone, really. And so today I've mentioned that I was visiting a medical center in Yerevan, and one old professor, he took his phone and showed me the app for the mindfulness meditation, where he pushed the button and there was written like, breathe, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. This man is 70 years old. He's a professor and he's using those digital CBT instruments. And we found that there is a real motivation in the society that people is ready to work with the VR or with the digital instruments to work with their mental health. And really, we decided to make a special offer with the returnable deposit. You can come and take the subscription, use the VR headset for the PsyTech, for example, or for any game or for anything. And so when you decided that it's time to cancel the subscription, we're giving you this returnable deposit and you're giving us the headset. And I think that it's a real deal.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I mean, the math of it just makes perfect sense. And even when you're done, if you feel like you've conquered your phobia, send the headset back. But in the meanwhile, you're not having to go put that individual expenditure in front of yourself. And another thing that I'm a really big fan of, just by looking at your website and really getting to understand what PsyTech does, is that just take an example like claustrophobia. So being able to put the end patient into a specific experience that's just not easily replicated in real life. Well, we all know that when we don't know when we're going to find ourselves in those specific situations. So you don't know when that's going to trigger for you. So is one of the training classes that PsyTech is using for claustrophobia something such as being like trapped in an elevator or locked in a staircase? Is that kind of one of the general ideas of I know it's 200 plus different ones that you have, but is that a generalized good idea or good way of saying what that would be?
Yeah, sure. All these scenarios were prepared with our team of psychologists. They were like using the scripts that they were using for years for people that are coming for the therapy sessions, and we trying to bring those scenarios right to the viewer. And I must say that those people that tested our app, they noticed that we have such great realistic graphics. Like we have competitors for real. Yeah, there are some companies that are our competitors, but every time I look for their graphics, I see that it looks like a cartoons, like a 3D graphics from the Game Boy games or maybe PSP or something like this. You need to give people the real graphics, the real 3D. And that's why we're using such great 3D assets. And speaking about the claustrophobia, I can name some great scenarios from our app. So, like the first that you have already mentioned, the elevator, and when you're stuck, when the doors are open, and when you can see the brick wall, the alarms are happening, this noise, like claustrophobes go crazy with this, and so it's really needed for our user to read our learning management system, where there are techniques how to work on your fear. So the next level, for example, can be the MRI scan, or when you're just coming for the procedure and you see this MRI, you're just stepping the blue circle, and then like and your video is happening when you're just coming to this MRI and this crazy noise like it's happening.
You know that's going to trigger somebody for sure.
Yeah, and you're trying to look around and you see this enclosed space and it really immerses. When we were just thinking about this mental imagery, we can't imagine how people can work with their mind just to imagine when you're just going to the MRI. That's boring. With VR, you can see the great immersion.
That's pretty cool. One last question for you, Daniel, I promise. Yeah. So you did touch on it slightly, but can you walk me through how patients would be able to track their progress to see where they started from to where maybe a midpoint would be after a couple of sessions to where the end point would be?
Okay, sure. So every time when you're exiting the fear or the phobia level, you ask to put the fear assessment, and you put it, and we sync this this assessment with our dashboard, and you don't need to write on the paper down. So like I was training on Monday, the glossophobia, the 7, something like this. Everything is synced with the platform.
That's
also
great.
Yeah, in the future we plan to make a system that will help us to track those assessments right before, then like in the level, in the middle, for example, and right up from the end. And one more thing, if we speak about the specialists, we are really working hard to make a biosensor system right now, as we plan to launch it on something like October, where the specialists will have an ability to track online the health indicators like pulse, HRV, and the stress level, maybe the oxygen, real health indicators that will not hide the real fear of the patient.
Right, and those are two big differentiators, right? Because someone may get worked up, but it may not be related to that phobia. It could be to something else. So I think that's great. And I love that there is a tracking process. So, Daniel, I got to tell you, like I've really enjoyed learning about PsyTech. So is there a way for some of our audience members to reach out to you to learn more about PsyTech, anywhere that we should have them go look?
Sure. You can visit our website, PsytechVR, and you can like join our beta test. It's almost free. We give 2 months of free trial for every user. If you're a doctor, like psychologist, CBT specialist, or whatever, if you're a medical organization, or we can give you the 2 months of free, up to 3 months of free trial, where you are going to test, help us understand where there are like holes in our like errors, bugs. Yeah, it's testing period. And we also currently working on the strategy with the HR departments of big companies. We've got 2 companies, one from the Canada and one from the US, that we are working currently. They're really interested in glossophobia, because lots of employees are coming from the home, and really it's an interesting part. And there are two more topics that we haven't covered with you. If I can tell our audience about it. So, for example, how to immerse yourself in phobias, in our phobias more. We use the hand tracking system, so you can put your controllers away and take, for example, the spider or the dog in the kinophobia in the future, or the insects in the real near future. So you can hold those spiders or take those, for example, cockroach or whatever, and it really immerses when you just see those teeny creature in front of you. You can spin it around or whatever, and it really immerses.
Yeah, it really kind of takes away that phobia just by having them in your hands, huh?
Yeah. And for example, we are working currently with the phobia of germs, or of the germs of the okay. And one level is when a stranger is coming in on the street for you, and he's trying to give you a hand that is dirty, and with the hand tracking you need to try to not give him this hand. It has like some gamification, but it's the real life situation where you can face on the street or in real life, really. And one more topic that I really want to cover is the mindfulness meditations. So we also have them on our list of content. And for example, if you are working with fears and phobias, you're stuck. You're on the battle with the fear, and you need to relax. And we create the mindfulness meditations in VR, where we put some great graphics of, for example, of the sky, or when you're just sitting in front of the sea, and we put there some relaxed music and the voice of the author. And these meditations can be done before the sleep, or for example, while being in the office, and they really help to relax. My friend and I used those mindfulness meditation, and we slept We slept for 10 minutes in the headset, and when someone pushed us, like, wake up, we feel like absolutely relaxed and new tonus in our body, and it was great. It was great, and relaxation practices. That's all about it.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Daniel, I got to tell you, thank you for coming on the show and for telling us more about PsyTech. For everyone at home, I hope you enjoyed it. If you didn't, I'd be surprised because it's really, really cool tech and a different way to approach an older problem that we've all been facing. Tell everybody that's going to be it for our episode today. Again, Daniel, thank you for being here. I do want to thank our sponsor, Kincannon XR, for sponsoring our podcast. You can find them on social media at Kincannon XR, or you can find our podcast on socials as well at etibpodcast.com. Hope everyone's having a great day. I've been your host, Brock Riney, and we're going to talk some more emerging tech next time. Daniel, thanks for being here. I can't wait to hear more from you.
Great job. Thank you, bro.
You'll have a great day.